All right. Again, I will be presenting the RPMES Input Form 2 or the Physical and Financial Accomplishment Report. Please bear with me po on this form as we will also be dealing with computational process ng RPMES system. So let's first take a look on the presentation outline. So we have the form title, purpose, responsibility, revisions, definition of entries, and frequency and deadline of submission, and we'll also try to have sample entries. So for your reference, you may refer po to pages 76 to 79 under Appendix E or the report templates of the revised RPMES operational guidelines. First, form title. So the title of this form is Physical and Financial Accomplishment Report. And this particular form holds paramount importance in project management and evaluation as it serves as a comprehensive documentation of the actual progress and financial status of the project, offering a detailed account of achieved milestone and remaining tasks. It also provides overview of whether the project is on track, adhering to timelines, and utilizing resources efficiently. Next is the purpose. So this report will be used to document status of ongoing program or projects, kasama po yung ODA and locally funded projects that are being implemented by the agency, GOCCs, or LGUs, among others. So this information is vital for decision making, allowing for timely adjustments, resource reallocation, and strategic planning to address any challenges or deviations from the initial project plan. Moreover, it shall contain the following information. So dalawa po physical and financial. Physical, it is the actual progress of the programs or projects against the target or scheduled accomplishments. So kasama dito yung information on employment generated as discussed a while ago, initial observable results, problems encountered, and measures taken or to be taken in order to address yung mga issues. Pangalawa, yung financial. So this accounts for the appropriations, allotment, obligations, and disbursement. So later we'll broaden on these 4 components along with the discussion of the form. So this particular report, financial, also account for reasons behind low disbursements if applicable. Next is the responsibility. So kayo po implementing agency and unit yung responsible especially in filling up the forms. Next is RPMES Form 2 revisions and enhancements. So ito po yung old form natin sa Form 2. In your left, sa right side naman yung revised form natin. So let's take a look on the old form. Ito pong major changes. First is yung for the month columns, we have omitted this both sa financial and physical accomplishment. Ang purpose is to ensure na yung reported figures are cumulative na. Second, the reporting of financial figures will be in actual PHP na kasi dati in PHP million. So the purpose of this is to avoid din yung confusion. So exact figures na yung ating ilalagay. And third one is yung expanded definition of the remarks column to specify possible additional supporting information na mamaya we'll try to enumerate yung expanded remarks. So notably, this is the summary of the observed major revisions, enhancement in the RPMES input form 2. Tatlo po yung for the month tinanggal, exact PHP figures na, and yung expanded remarks. Another major revision observable din siguro is that there's already a clear delineation of how to indicate entries for the programs and for the projects. Generally kasi dati, treated na project lang yung entries based on the previous definition. So later, we'll dig deeper into the definition of these components. So again, ito yung old form. Ito na po yung revised form 2 natin. Alright, now let's discuss na yung definition of entries. Ito yung medyo marami tayong discussion. So first, yung program and project title. So ang ilalagay po natin in this column is yung title na makikita natin sa approved program of work, whether yung sa loan or yung sa grant agreement. Next is implementation schedule. So this is the month, day, year when the project is expected to start and to be completed. So dalawa, yung start date and end date. In color blue, yun po yung format natin. So month, day, year. For start date, again, as I mentioned a while ago, meron na tayong delineation for projects and programs. But before that, yung start date po, yun yung project is expected to start. So dalawa. For projects, meron pong tatlo. First is the ICC-approved projects. We know that the ICC-approved projects ay yun yung mga may threshold na 2.5 billion na projects. And ang ire-reflect po natin kapag siya ay ICC project ay yung latest approval. So what is material here is the approval. Next is the non-ICC approved projects. So ang i-reflect po natin dito is the start date or the first year, it has appropriations naman. And lastly, for projects still, purely governmental of the Philippines funded projects, they shall be considered ongoing po upon commencement of the earliest project activity in any component when project budget is already available. Example, yung mga components natin sa civil works, procurement, detail engineering design, right-of-way acquisition, resettlement and capacity development, and setting up of PMOs among others. And lastly, for programs, yung earliest program activity within the year when budget is already available. Next is end of date. So ito yung expected to be completed naman. So we will be reflecting yung latest approved completion date. Next is fund source. So we indicate lang yung source of fund for the project. Example niyan yung mga official development assistance, loan, grant, local financing program or LFP, public-private partnership or PPP, NPA, and yung local development fund. Next is yung funding agency. So in this column, applicable lang po ito sa mga official development assistant funded projects or programs. So kapag hindi, we can leave it blank or indicate NA. So kapag siya ODA, we indicate the development partners. Example, yung World Bank, Asian Development Bank, or yung JICA. Next is total program or project cost. So again, dalawa. In the entire components mamaya, may encounter natin na dalawa na yung mga definition niya. So for programs, approve appropriations for the current fiscal year, and for projects, approve cost needed for the implementation of the project from start until the end. So bear in mind po, exact PHP figures na lagi yung ating i-reflect sa bawat components. Okay. In this form, we have two major components sa Form 2, and they are specifically to be found in columns under the financial status and the physical accomplishment. Let us further elucidate on these two components, beginning with the financial status. So we have 4 columns: appropriations, allotment, obligations, disbursements. I know some of you already has a basic understanding or even broad knowledge on the financial concept, ano po. But just as a refresher, let us try to define each of the financial status components, beginning with the appropriations. For the appropriations, it is an authorization pursuant to laws or other legislative enactment. Meaning to say, required po dito yung congressional action, directing the spending of funds for 3 things: specific purpose, up to specified amount, and under specified conditions. So this is defined by the DBM in year 2019. Sa old form po natin, itong appropriation, yun yung allocation, which represents the budgeted amount for different activities. So again, for programs, total appropriations for the current fiscal year in exact PHP figures. For projects, total cumulative appropriations from the start of the project to the end of the reporting period. Next is yung allotment. So yung kaninang sinabi natin na authorization pursuant to law, ini-issue na siya sa isang ahensya permitting that agency to commit or incur obligation and or pay out funds within a specified period of time and within the amount specified. So previously, sa old form natin, ito yung release. So for releases. So for programs, total allotment, ganun din po. Allotment nga lang siya. And for projects, yung total cumulative allotment. Third component ng financial status, obligations. A commitment by a government agency arising from an act of duly authorized official which legally binds the government to the immediate, dalawa po ito, pwedeng immediate or eventual payment of sum of money. In other words, nire-representa nito yung legal commitment na to spend the allocated funds. So again, for programs, total obligation. For projects, yung total cumulative obligations. Lastly, sa financial status in disbursements. So this is the settlement or liquidation or payment of an obligation incurred in the current or prior years involving cash or non-cash transactions and covered by disbursement authorities. So previously, ito ay expenditure. So final stage na to, wherein yung funds natin are actually spent or disbursed for the implementation of the projects or programs. So again, for programs, yung total disbursements, and for projects, total cumulative disbursements. Okay, we're done with the financial status. Let's proceed to the physical accomplishment. Meron po tayong 7 dito, isa-isahin din natin. By the way, ito po palang OPA dun sa target and actual OPA. This means the overall weighted physical accomplishment. So we may refer po sa Appendix D for the computation of OPA, page 69 to 70. And for your better appreciation and guidance na rin sa atin lahat when it comes to computations and how to go about the actual process of deriving the physical accomplishment, I have prepared po an Excel file containing formula which already auto-computes until finally getting yung slippage. So the Secretariat is pleased to share with you naman po this Excel for your reference and guidance later. And maybe we can also have a separate discussion on this along with the discussion of the sample entries. So let's proceed to the first component of physical accomplishment, target OPA. So this is the work schedule to be accomplished from start of the project implementation up to the reporting period. So in the illustration, yung start po natin is quarter 1. And if the reporting period falls under quarter 3, so yung quarter 1 to quarter 3 of the project implementation po yung scope o yung sakop. Sa actual OPA naman po, ganun din, actual work accomplished nga lang siya. Next is the slippage. Mahalaga ito kasi ito na yung magde-define whether our project, kung ano yung status ng ating project physically. So this is the difference between actual accomplishment to date and target accomplishment as of the reporting period. So simple lang subtract lang natin actual OPA to date minus target OPA to date. So the result may be positive, which means that the project is ahead of time or ahead of schedule. Negative, which means that the project is behind of schedule, or zero, on schedule lang yung project or on time. Okay, this is quite overwhelming po. Pero ang sinasabi lang po dito sa output indicator is that at most 5 or maximum of 5 yung output indicators na ilalagay natin sa i-indicate natin. And this should be expressed in unit. Example, kilometers, hectares, beneficiaries, houses. So if it happens that a particular component has more than 5 output indicators, so we'll be just choosing major output indicators. Kailangan 5 lang at most, using this criteria, itong dalawa, A and B, degree of relevance or contribution to the program or project objectives, and or yung share in the total program or project cost. So ito po yung gagamitin natin. Take note, an output indicator specifies the key tangible goods and services the organization or intervention will deliver. So they define the project management terms of accountability that have to be achieved by the end of the intervention period. Next is yung atin pong end of project target. So ito lang yung pinagkasunduan ng implementing agency and funding agency. So the target quantity to be accomplished as agreed between sa kanilang dalawa. Next is target to date. So target accomplishment as of the reporting quarter, which are expressed in units of respective output indicators. Actual to date, ganun din po, actual accomplishment nga lang siya. And then employment generated by the project from start of the project up to the reporting period expressed in number of persons disaggregated by sex. So ito yung male and female. And then ito yung remarks. Ito na po yung ating expanded remarks. So these are additional supporting information on the reported physical and financial accomplishment of the project, such as but not limited po ito sa mga sumusunod. So first, yung accomplishments such as number of sub-projects, components, major outputs completed. Next is yung mga listahan ng mga major works that are ongoing, suspended, or terminated. Next is we also specify including whether the project is suspended or terminated. Also yung mga reasons for physical and financial performance. Actions to be taken relative to the status of the accomplishments. Example, yung mga foresight inspection or to be subjected sa mga PSS po natin, yung problem-solving session. Next is yung previous approved end dates if applicable. Sometimes may mga project tayo, especially sa mga infra projects, pag may mga variation orders, there are changes. So better yet na we also reflect yung mga previous dates, new target dates, among others. Next is yung limitations in reporting information required in the form. So kapag walang available disaggregation of employment generated by sex, better yet to reflect it in the remarks column. Finally po, at the end of the report, we will be indicating yung name, designation, office of the person who prepared the report, and the date the report was submitted. So the report should be approved by the head of the agency or your office po. All right, frequency and deadline of submission. So, ang frequency natin is quarterly. We'll be submitting every quarter. While the deadline for the agency submission, kayo po sa aming RPMC Secretariat is 1 month after the reporting quarter. Subject pa po yung submission nyo sa RPMC Secretariat's processing. So we have to process it kasi may submission din naman po kami sa monitoring evaluation staff within 15 days naman after agency submission. So kaya po yung red natin, yung submission nyo po, and yung naka-blue naman yung submission namin. Example, sa quarter 1, kayo po ay April 30, sa amin ay May 15. Second quarter, July 31 po ang submission nyo. Third quarter, October 31 ang submission nyo. And fourth quarter, the following year na, January 31, 2025 na yung submission nyo po.
Okay, I think we're down to the last part of our presentation, the sample entries. So let's try to discuss the sample entries. So let me just fix my screen.
Ito na po yung sample entries natin na pwede nyo pong maging guide para sa computational process. So hindi naman po ito yung actual na laman ng Form 2 pero i-share din po namin yung Form 2. So reminders lang, ito pong mga naka-gray cells dyan ay na siya, may mga formula na. So wag na po natin galawin. Protect it. Hidden columns naman po itong part na to. And ito rin pong kabila, hidden columns naman po siya. So may mga formula na po yan para for your reference din. And doon naman sa mga yellow cells natin, doon lang po kayo mag-i-input ng inyo pong mga information. Yan po mga naka-yellow cells.
I provided 2 examples, 1 program and 1 project. But in the interest of time, we'll only focus dito sa project na walang components. Ito kasing first program ay may mga components. So ganun lang din naman po siya. Ang pinakaiba lang, magkakaroon ng total sa taas yung mga components. So for the project, so ang project natin dito is the construction of bypass and diversion roads o Jongang Bypass Road.
Since ito ay project, so ito yung found in the approved program of work. So we also included the identification number in the project title. And sa start date, so this is the earliest project activity. Again, this is a project. Next is when the project, ito na po yung end date. This is the expected to be completed yung project. Or in this case, since 2021 pa siya, ito, October 14, 2021, or is actually completed. So we reflected the latest approved completion date. Next is the fund source. So local financing program yung in-indicate natin. So for funding agency, since applicable lang siya sa ODA funded, we can just leave it blank or indicate NA. Next is total program or project costs. So since this is a project, we reflected the approved costs needed for the implementation of the project from start until the end. So ito na po sa financial status. So gaya ng sabi ko kanina, project total cumulative appropriations from start of the project to the end of the reporting period. Lahat po itong apat ay in exact PHP figures. So ganun din itong mga sumunod, total cumulative allotment, total cumulative obligations, total cumulative disbursements. Next, ito pong component cost. So this is just the same po sa project cost natin. Just so happen na ito wala naman tong component. Yung isa example meron. These 2 columns, funding support and funds utilization, this is very important especially during the conduct of our assessment and analysis. Kasi funding support and funds utilization shows yung porsyento ng suporta ng pamahalaan sa mga ahensya as well as kung yung mga project ay fund ay na-utilize well, efficiently ng mga implementing agencies. So mare-reflect natin dito yung mga percentage. So makukuha natin muna yung funding support by allotment divided by appropriations times 100 to get its percentage. Ayan po, allotment, divide lang natin yung appropriations. Yung funds utilization naman, we divide po disbursements divided by allotment. Ito po, 57 divided by 102 million and then multiplied by 100, so 58.50. Next po, still in the physical accomplishment. So end of project target, this is the quantity or target quantity to be accomplished na pinagkasunduan ng implementing agency and funding agency if meron po So this is usually the same din sa project component cost natin. Target as of end of current quarter, target accomplishment as of the reporting quarter. So ito naman, actual accomplishment as of the reporting quarter. Next is the weight. So for the weight, it is the end of project target divided by the total of end project target. So 100 million. So since wala siyang component, ano po, wala siyang total, we can just divide itong 100 million sa sarili niya. So 1 times 100, 100%. Kasi dito sa example natin sa program, meron po itong mga component, ano, and to get the weight of each of these components, ganun lang yung process. We will be dividing this component to its total para makita natin yung bigat ng particular component. Dito 100 naman siya kasi wala siyang component. And next, itong target physical accomplishment as of end of current quarter, divide lang natin yung target as of end of current quarter to the end of project target. Ito po dito. Okay? Sa actual, ganun din naman po. Yung end actual as of end of current quarter, i-divide natin dun sa end of project target. So naglagay na rin po ako ng mga sales comments dito for your guidance. Okay, ito na yung last part ng physical accomplishment. I colored it in blue kasi ito yung mga importanteng components para makita natin yung status ng project. For the target OPA to date, mako-compute lang siya by multiplying yung weight po at saka yung target physical accomplishment. So ito po, pag multiply lang natin siya para makuha yung target OPA. Yun namang actual OPA, ganun din. Yung actual lang ang imumultiply natin sa weight. And then finally, yung slippage na, simple lang we subtract lang actual OPA minus yung ating target OPA. The result is negative 41.26. So we can conclude, since negative siya, that this particular project is delayed or a little behind of time. So by 41.26%. And next, so we're done with the physical and financial status. Ito na yung last parts. So employment generated, ang reflected lang niya ay 10 for male and 2 for female. This is also a very important component because this is also in accordance with the GOD policies, and we have to also monitor kung yung mga disaggregated by sex natin na mga employed workers. Next sa remarks, since ito ay previous information pa ito ng project, ito lang yung na reflect natin. So ngayon, mas flexible naman yung remarks. We can include other expanded supporting information here. Ano po? Ngayon, ang ni-reflect lang niya dito sa project is with proposed time extension for evaluation of the project engineer. Lastly, ito pong nasa babang information, don't forget po na fill upan din natin kung sino yung nag-fill up ng form, kanyang position, date, and of course yung approving head of the agency or your office. And also, I provided here legend para sa guidance din ninyo sa Form 2 and other additional instruction. So, bear in mind lang itong mga hidden columns natin, ano? It's just part of the process para mas madalian po kayo sa pagko-compute if needed. Pero ang integral part talaga nito, yung mga dark blue columns entirely. Ano po? All right.
Okay, we're already done. It's a wrap for my presentation on the RPMES Input Form 2 or the Physical and Financial Accomplishment Report. So thank you very much.